everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this video is a ticketing system guide for IT support. So this video has two parts. First part is for a lecture on what ticketing system is, components of a ticket, life cycle of a ticket, SLA, and more. And the second part is more on the hands-on activities, and I will show you how you can practice the ticketing system and how to open and work on tickets on your own ticketing system for free. So if you already know what a ticketing system is and you want to skip the lecture part, you can go ahead and proceed to part 2, which is the hands-on. But if you want to learn more on what a ticketing system is, please keep on watching. And without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the ticketing system guide for entry-level IT support. Let's discuss what a ticketing system is first. A ticketing system is a tool used in IT support to track, manage, and resolve user issues efficiently. Each issue or request is logged as a ticket, allowing IT teams to organize and prioritize their workload. Here are examples of some common ticketing systems. First is one of the most popular ticketing systems, ServiceNow. It is an enterprise-level IT service management. I've used this at work and it's a great system. Then, another one is Jira Service Management. This is great for IT and DevOps teams. There's also Zendesk. It's user-friendly for general IT support. Another one is Freshservice. This is a cloud-based ITSM tool. We use this in my current workplace and it's very simple and easy to use. There's also Spiceworks Help Desk. This is free and commonly used for small teams. And SolarWinds, which is used in larger organizations. Let's now talk about the key components of a ticketing system. This is important to know so we can use a ticketing system effectively. Here's a detailed breakdown of the key components. Every ticket has a unique reference number, and this helps IT teams track the ticket's progress, locate past issues, and maintain records. This can be numbers or alphanumeric. Next is the requester or the user submitting the ticket. Why is this important? Because it helps IT identify trends. It also ensures correct communication with the user for troubleshooting and follow-ups. Then, we have the issue category or classification of the problem. This is categorizing tickets, which improves organization and efficiency. The common categories include hardware. This is for laptop not booting, monitor issues, for example. Software for application crashes, unable to install software. Network for Wi-Fi connectivity issues, slow internet. Security for account lockouts, phishing attempts. Access request for new employee onboarding, shared folder permissions. Next is priority level or determining urgency, because not all tickets are equally urgent. A priority matrix helps decide what gets handled first. Critical priority is when the entire company is affected. For example, the company email server is down. Then, high priority is for department-wide issue. For example, finance team's payroll system is inaccessible. Medium priority is for individual user impact. For example, employee's laptop is slow. And low priority is for minor inconvenience. This is for request for a new software installation, for example. Next component is the assigned technician or who handles the issue. The ticket system assigns the request to the right technician or team based on expertise, workload balancing, and shift schedules. For example, a ticket about Active Directory account issues is assigned to a systems administrator instead of a help desk technician. Last is the ticket status or where the ticket stands. A ticket status helps track progress and avoids confusion. Here's the matrix for ticket status. New is when a ticket was just created, no action taken yet. In progress is when a technician is actively working on it. Pending user response is when IT needs more information from the user. Escalated is when a ticket is moved to a higher level support team. Resolved is when issue has been fixed and pending user confirmation. And closed when it's confirmed by a user as resolved and ticket was archived. So that's the key components of a ticketing system and what a ticketing system typically looks like. Next is how to properly log a ticket. This is the best practice. Here's an example scenario. An employee, Gray, from Finance Department submits a ticket stating, "My computer is running slow and I can't open Excel properly." As an IT support technician, you need to follow best practices in gathering essential details before troubleshooting. First is to gather requester information like the full name, department, email, and contact number. Next is the system details like device name, operating system, and software version if applicable. Next is to categorize the issue. Different categories could be hardware, software, access request, and more. Then determine the priority level like low, medium, high, or critical, and the urgency when it needs to be done. Then you can ask for additional details to diagnose the problem. For example, when did the issue start? Are other applications also slow or just Excel? Have you noticed any error messages or crashes? Is this happening to other employees in finance? Once you have enough information, you can assign it to the right technician. Help desk level 1 for initial troubleshooting. If the issue is not resolved after initial fixes, you can escalate to level 2. Then, update the ticket status whenever there are changes. For example, it's in progress because we are working on solving the issue. Then, don't forget to add notes after asking for follow-up questions. This helps if you need to escalate later. Let's now talk about IT support ticket lifecycle. This is the process flow of an IT ticket from the beginning to end. First, a user submits a ticket. It can be via email or the self-service portal or phone. Next, ticket gets categorized and assigned to an IT technician. Then, the technician troubleshoots the issue and documents findings. After that, issue is resolved or escalated if needed. Then, user is notified and the ticket is marked closed after confirmation. An optional step is post-resolution follow-up for user satisfaction. You also need to learn about Service Level Agreement or SLA for ticketing systems. SLA is a formal contract between IT support teams and users that defines expected response and resolution times for different types of technical issues. SLAs help set clear expectations, prioritize work efficiently, and ensure quality service delivery. Here are the key components of SLA in ticketing systems. Response time is the time it takes for IT support to acknowledge or respond to a ticket. Resolution time is the time within which the issue should be fully resolved. Ticket prioritization is when SLAs categorize tickets into priority levels based on urgency and impact. Escalation process defines when and how a ticket should be escalated if not resolved within SLA limits. Service availability specifies support hours. For example, 24/7 or business hours only. And penalties and breach consequences. This defines what happens if SLAs are not met. And here are examples of SLA response and resolution times based on issue priority. A company's email server goes down, affecting 500 plus employees. The SLA is that IT must respond in 15 minutes and resolve within 2 hours. A breach example is if IT fails to restore email within 3 hours, SLA is breached. Another scenario, a phishing attack is detected, targeting finance team emails. SLA is that IT must respond within 30 minutes and apply security measures within 4 hours. Here's a medium priority scenario. A new employee, John, can't access his email and internal tools. The SLA would be that the help desk must respond within 1 hour and resolve within 8 hours. For a low priority scenario, a user requests installation of a new software for a future project. SLA is that IT should respond within 4 hours and complete the request within 48 hours. Why does SLA matter in IT support? It ensures timely support based on urgency, helps manage user expectations, prevents ticket backlog by enforcing deadlines, and supports performance tracking of IT teams. And we also need to know the best practices for handling IT support tickets. Always acknowledge tickets promptly. Even if you can't fix it immediately, confirm receipt. Follow SLA guidelines. Prioritize based on urgency and importance. Communicate clearly. Use non-technical language when explaining solutions to users. Document everything. Logs help with future troubleshooting and knowledge sharing. Escalate when necessary. If beyond your expertise, escalate to the next level of support. And last but not the least, close tickets properly. Ensure the user is satisfied before closing a ticket. Okay, now for the hands-on activities. We are going to be doing 3 ticket activities in this video. And there are some bonus activities for you to do as well as your homework if you're interested. And I will be showing you step by step on how to set up your ticketing system for free to get started practicing on your own tickets. But if you already have your own ticketing system or you've already set up with a different ticketing system, then that's fine. Feel free to use whatever system that you'd like. And also feel free to skip the next part because next part is me showing how to set up your own ticketing system. Okay, so let's get started setting up your own ticketing system. And for the system, we are using Spiceworks because it's web-based, so you can use this in any browser you'd like. And this is also free that you can use for practicing. And it has almost all the components that is needed for tickets that is very similar to what is used in the workplace. So if you are new to Spiceworks, go ahead and create an account and just go through all the registration and creation process. Okay, so I'm just logging in with my email in here. Okay, take 2. I'm just logging in with my email in here. And of course, let's do the verification. And when you're new to the system, it's not going to show the ticketing system right away. Sometimes it'll show the dashboard or the homepage. So what you're going to do is to go to the IT tools and go to Cloud Help Desk. Select that and it should take you to this page where it says Try Cloud Help Desk. So click on Try Cloud Help Desk in here and it will take you to the actual ticketing system. So as you can see in here, we have some tickets and it is very easy to navigate as well. So there are buttons in here to click if you want to open new tickets. So once you've set up your ticketing system, we can go ahead and get started with our activities. Okay, so for our first activity, of course, we are gonna do a simulated ticket creation. The first thing that you need to learn is how to open a proper ticket with all of the proper information, of course, so it'll be easier for whoever the technician is gonna be assigned the ticket. Okay, so for the first activity, the goal is to understand how tickets are created and categorized. So whatever you learn from the lecture, especially with the components of a ticket, you will apply in here. So make sure that you have refreshed your memory and reviewed what the basics of a ticketing system is so that you can follow along this activity. Okay, so in this lab, I'm gonna have you open a new ticket on your ticketing system and make sure to fill in the ticket form with the subject, the description, the category, and the priority.
Here are the necessary information to put in a ticket. There should be details about the issues, the more the better. What device is having the issue? Is it a computer, phone, or application? Be as descriptive as possible on the ticket and put what programs, apps, hardware are not working and or what was done so far. Also put when can we get a hold of you next or who else can we reach out to that might have the same issue. And don't forget where can we reach you if email isn't the best answer.
Okay, so now let's go to our ticketing system, and on Spiceworks, you can open a new ticket by clicking this new ticket button here. So just make sure that we are gonna fill in the important information on the ticket with the issue monitor is in Word. So of course you're gonna submit you're gonna fill in the user or the requester in here, and that's Marie, for example. And on the summary or the subject, we are gonna put something that will summarize or describe the issue briefly. We can say, I typically just put the host name of the computer in here if I know what the host name is. So just to make it easier for the tech, host name in here. And then let's move on to the description. So best practice is to be as descriptive and provide as many details as possible in here. So this is an example of what the ticket should look like. Okay, so this is the description that I put in the ticket. It says my left monitor isn't working and it's no longer displaying anything. So be specific as possible. I've specified that it's the left monitor and what's not working about it. I also put, I've tried turning it off and on and changing to the appropriate source but still no lock. Maybe it needs to be replaced. So it's also important to add all the things that you've done so far if you've done something, just to narrow down all of the issue and make it easier for the tech to know what the best next step is. And of course, it's also very important to put how to get a hold of the user. For example, you can put I am available after this time and where your office is located. So at least it'll be easier for the tech to understand what's going on and how to contact you instead of going back and forth waiting for the response on the ticket, which sometimes takes more time. So at least this will make all the process faster. Alright, so make sure to prioritize the ticket. This depends on the user, mostly on how they feel they should be prioritized. If it impacts their workflow, usually they put on high in here. So it's really up to the user or your judgment. Just make sure that you're putting the appropriate priority. And don't forget the category in here to make things easier too. So in here, it's hardware because monitor is hardware related. So the other categories here is network, printer, software. So that's just making it easier for the tech to look into what tickets they can resolve later on if hardware is what they're doing or if they have specialty. And we can click on create in here and that should create that ticket on Spiceworks. Okay, so now we have created a new ticket. We can also open it and check if it has everything that we need. So you can see the description in here and then you can see the priority on the right side in here. The status of the ticket also, we have talked about that on the lecture. So once that you have done something on the ticket, you can update this status in here, put the assignee in here. So you can basically practice on this system and treat it like the actual tickets that you can get at work. So here's a bonus activity for activity 1. I'm not going to show you how to do this activity. You can do this on your own, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave it on the comment section down below. So this is for your homework that you can do on your own time. And this is to rewrite this ticket that has a vague subject and description, because sometimes our users still submit ticket like this and it's really hard to get anything out of this kind of ticket, and you need to do more interactions with the users, which is sometimes time consuming. So for example, you have to rewrite this ticket that has a subject, my internet is not working, and this just a description, I can't browse the internet and send emails. So you write this ticket with the proper subject, with all of the necessary information like the description, the machine name, the actual issue, specific issue, what you've done so far, and all of those necessary information. Okay, so let's move on to activity number 2, and this is the ticket closure checklist. So now that we know how to open a ticket and create a new ticket, now let's learn how to close the ticket properly. It's just as important as creating or opening a new ticket. So let's get started with this activity, and the goal is to ensure that the ticket is properly resolved and documented. So the task you will do is to confirm resolution with the user. For example, you can role play in this activity and act as the user as well, and just interact with the user, confirm that the ticket is resolved, and also you need to update the ticket notes and close the ticket with the proper resolution code. Okay, so for our issue, we are provided this ticket already. The subject is Wi-Fi not connecting on the laptop, and the description is Wi-Fi no longer connects and it used to connect automatically when in the office. So feel free to improve this ticket based on our lecture earlier on how to fill the ticket properly with the necessary information. And also feel free to do the troubleshooting in here. But in this activity, we're not going to focus on fixing this issue, but we are focusing more on how to close this ticket properly. Okay, so next step is to go to your ticketing system. Let's create a new ticket first, just based on the given issues for us. Okay, so I've just added a few information in here, like the host name of the laptop on the subject, and more description like when is the user available in here. So we can go ahead and create our ticket in here. So for example, we have figured out what the issue is, that the Wi-Fi certificate on the laptop has expired and you just renewed it in the Active Directory, or you connected it to the network through Ethernet first to reactivate the Wi-Fi certification. So for example, all of that process was done and you're ready to close the ticket. So how do we close the ticket? Let's go to the ticket, and for example, you have figured out the issue and you're gonna tell the user that it should all be fixed and all set. You can respond with, hello, your Wi-Fi certificate has expired and I just renewed it on the backend. Always verify and make sure that it's working for the user, even if you already fixed it, because sometimes stuff happens and it's not correctly fixed. So you can say, can you please check if it's working now, and send it to the user, for example. And if the user, for example, says yes, it means that you have confirmed that it's working for the user, and this means that you can close the ticket now. So usually if it's a typical issue like this where the Wi-Fi cert expired, like this happens multiple times and it's a common issue already. Sometimes there's no need to document common issues like this because it's very well known on how to fix this. And you've already put the root cause and how it was fixed on the response. So we can skip documenting the resolution for this. But if it's a more unique issue that you have just encountered and you want the other techs to know what the cause and the resolution is, you can add notes in here that only the techs or the IT people can see, so they can follow along if they encounter the same issue. So on Spiceworks, you can go to this very bottom drop down in here that says public response and click on that and switch to internal note. So this is the note that only your team can see. For example, I renew this on Jamf, for example. And then you can add the steps on how to do it, for example. And then if you click on send, as you can see, it's usually like marked as internal note or private note that the users won't be able to see, only your team. So you can also do that to add more documentation, and this will also serve as the reference for the other issues that the other techs might encounter. So this is a proper way on closing a ticket. Before you click on close, at least you documented what you have done, especially if this is the first time encountering the issue. So now we can go ahead and close this. And on Spiceworks, you can filter your tickets for open, all tickets, for example, all of your closed tickets. So at least if you have this list of tickets, you won't be overwhelmed with all the tickets that you have. Once you close a ticket, you won't see it if you filter it, and it will look good on your queue, and your manager will be happy as well. Okay, another bonus activity for activity 2, ticket closure. So this is something that you can do on your own. Again, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, but you need to provide a resolved ticket for the issue below. The issue is email is not connecting on work phone and not getting the latest emails. So for example, you have figured it out and solved the issue. Your task is to confirm the resolution with the user, update the ticket notes, and close the ticket with proper resolution. So for the last activity in this video, another important part of the ticketing system is escalating. So we are going to do an escalation practice in here. For example, there's an issue that you can't handle on your level because it's something more advanced, or it's something that you don't have access to. So what if that issue comes? What are you gonna do? So that's the time when you can escalate the ticket to a different team or to your senior or whoever is appropriate to get the ticket. So the goal of this is to understand when and how to escalate a ticket. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a scenario. For example, this is what we're gonna use. A user can't access the financial database. You've tried resetting credentials and basic network checks. So this is a time where you can escalate the ticket because you don't have access to give the users what they need because it's handled by a different team. So the task we're gonna do is to know when to escalate and to which team to escalate to, and what information you should be putting on the ticket when you're escalating. Okay, so let's create a new ticket first. Click on this and put in the subject or summary and description. For the summary or the subject, just put in the brief description of the issue, that they can't access the financial database, and you can also put the software or what the program is called. And for the description, it can be brief in here, and this is good because it says what access they need. So they need to view the database, so that means that they only need read-only access, probably for the database. Okay, so let's create a ticket first. This is probably medium because they can't do other work, but it depends, it could be high, but just make sure to fill that as well. And this is a software kind of issue because it is related to the database software and they need access to that. Sometimes if it's a request issue, there's also a category for that, but since we don't have a category for access request, let's just put software in this. So go ahead and create ticket. Okay, so let's open the ticket now. Alright, so you want to escalate this because you know you can't resolve this ticket. It has to go to another department. So what we're gonna do is, sometimes there are options to escalate, but sometimes there's not an option to do that. So you can just go ahead and assign it to the team, for example, or the department, for example, that handles this kind of request. Or if you know the specific person who handles this, you can also assign them. So I'll put e-charmer here, for example, and then add as much information as you can to the ticket when you're escalating to make it easier for the other teams to resolve the ticket. So for example, since you're in IT and you can view what the username of this user is, you can get started by asking if they can handle this type of request. You can let the team know that you're escalating it to them. Okay, so you can put, hello, I'm escalating this to your team. Just to let them know that you are escalating it. And you can provide all the information that they need. For example, the account name or any code, and what access they need. For example, read-only access to what software. And of course, ask if they need anything else. Sometimes they need more information, so you can go ahead and send that so the other team can see this. Also, I prefer to do this with a public response than the internal note or private note, so that the user can also see that you're escalating this ticket. You can also let the user know that you're escalating this ticket, so they can expect that it's a different team that will be helping them. And also, sometimes IT support filters all of the tickets. They go through all of the tickets first, and then they redirect it to the appropriate team if possible. So users most of the time just create a generic ticket, and it's up to the different teams to assign it to the appropriate teams. Okay, so that would be it for today's video. I hope that you learned something from this ticketing system guide, and I hope that you can practice a lot with the hands-on activities. So good luck, and I hope you create more and more tickets so you can practice your communication skills as well, especially with dealing with different users and practicing how to professionally respond to them. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.